Hello and welcome to project number 4 in our Tkinter Project series. In this video we're going to take a look at how to build a simple notepad in Tkinter. So we'll first actually start off by making a simple notepad. We'll create the text widget, we'll create a few supporting widgets, then after that we'll begin upgrading it a bit. We'll add in the undo and redo feature. Now this is something that's really common in normal notepads like the one I'm using right now. For instance, any text editor has this undo and redo feature, but how do you know how to implement it into your Tkinter GUI? No, you don't. Well, chances are you don't, that is. Because it's something that is really simple in theory, but it's actually something that can be a little tricky to implement. Luckily, I have a 5-minute solution in which I'll show you how to easily implement it. Okay? Then after that, we'll basically add in some menus into our notepad. Basically, we'll remove the buttons that we'll be using in the start and replace them with menus instead, which is obviously a much better solution. Because you don't see buttons around here, do you? Like they're all menus over here that you use to select options, and you can even see undo and redo over here. So we'll basically be doing something like that. Okay, and actually there's another video that's actually the sequel to this one, in which we'll be converting our notepad into a syntax highlighter, which is also a really interesting concept. So I really advise you to actually check that out. Okay, so enough of that, and let's actually begin. I'm going to create a label first. We'll move fast, okay, because these are simple things and we don't want to waste too much time on them. And we'll reserve time for what's really important. This is my notepad, okay. Self.l1.pack, okay. And just a brief explanation as to what's going on here. I created a main frame over here, okay. And in between this frame, before we pack it in, we're basically going to be putting in all these widgets, okay. And of course, this is just some basic code written there for setup. And let's just run this quickly. Okay, everything's going good. Let's create the text widget now. Okay, text self.main. And by the way, if you want to see a proper video on the text widget, then I advise you to actually look at the tutorials in the description below, because those are really descriptive and they actually cover each option in detail. For this video, we're just going to take a look at what's required for making the notepad. Okay. And we won't really be taking a look at all the options. So yeah, now let's run this. And here's our basic notepad. You can see we can enter data in here. So yeah, pretty simple and effective. It's actually a good thing that the text widget takes care of so much for us. But now, what do we do? Well, let's begin adding in some useful functions, okay? Well, this one isn't actually that necessary, but this is just something I want to show you, okay? So I'm going to do self.t1.get, and this takes 2 parameters, okay, the get function. You might have used this before with the entry widgets. So what you do over here is you give it a starting index, okay. Okay, so the second one is going to be end. Okay, this is a really useful technique, just writing end over here, because now you don't know how many characters there are, right? Of course, I should actually explain this first. Sorry, hold on. So this over here, 0.0, this means line 0, character 0, okay, and this is actually the same thing as writing 1.0. So yeah, 1.0 is fine. So, and then you write over here end. Now basically what you're saying is that from line 1 to the end, get all the data. That's what it's saying basically. So end over here, this end word over here is basically going to go and automatically locate the last line and the last character and retrieve that index point, okay, so you don't need to worry about that. So let's try this out. And I totally forgot that we don't have a way to trigger this function yet. So let's just create the other function that I have in mind first. It's called clear. And what this one is going to do is go here and delete everything. And just like how we pass 2 parameters in here, we're going to pass 2 parameters into delete to basically delete everything. So I'll say again, from the start, I want you to the end, I want you to delete everything. Okay, so let's create some buttons now. b1 is equal to button self.main text is equal to printout, okay, and let's tie this to the self.display function, okay, self.b1.pack. And by the way, I'm just saying this again, if there's something you don't understand here, like something regarding a widget or something, or a technique used, that is a 99% chance that the answer is down in the comments below. Sorry, in the description below, okay, so feel free to check it out. And here we go, and clear. command is equal to self.clear, okay, self.b2.pack, pad x is equal to 5, pad y is equal to 5. Okay, great. And let's just run this now. Now hopefully everything turned out okay. Yeah, pretty much. We'll work on that. We'll work on the layout in a minute. Okay, so let me write something here. This is some random text. Okay, let me click print. Okay, it's printed out on this console behind this. Now this isn't actually related to the Notepad working, but it's good for debugging and for a few other things that we'll take a look at later. But mostly it's just there for you and to show you how the Notepad works. Okay, to show you how the text widget works. Now let's use clear. Okay, now you can see that it deleted all the text within the text widget. Okay, now that's actually a useful thing that we'll need in the Notepad. Okay, and we'll even use this internally in some of our own functions later. So now what's next? As promised, actually yes, hold on, I want to work on the layout a bit. Let me just try something out here. Hopefully this will work without screwing anything up. Okay, good. We have print and clear aligned over there now. I don't know about you, but I think they look a lot better over there. And let's just do a few more things. One, let's make their width uniform. Okay, because by default what happens, Tkinter makes the button size adapt to the text within it. But that's not very uniform, okay? And so let's just make it uniform. Maybe a little smaller than that. 8, okay? And one more thing. I was thinking just to maybe decrease the width of the text widget a bit. Yeah, I think this looks nice. It looks nice and compact. Okay, good. And what now? Okay, now let's take a look at undo and redo. Alright, so there's a little concept I want to explain here first regarding undo. How does it work? Have you ever thought about that? I mean, you use it very often, you're probably using it right now or something, but how does it work? Well, the way I want to explain it here is that it works by making a bunch of save points. Like for example, you made 5 save points. Okay, you wrote a word, then you made a save. You make another. You wrote another word, then you made another save. Then basically this goes on until you write like 5 words. Now you have 5 save points. Now let's say that you're not satisfied with what you have, so you want to go back to an earlier save point. So you can slowly, one by one, like let's say you want to go back all the way to the start. Okay, you need to undo 5 times, right? Before you wrote anything. So basically you're first gonna go to the last save point that you made, then you'll go to the second last and the third last until you reach the first one that you made. That's how it works. And the reason I'm explaining it like this is actually because we're gonna be using a stack system. We're gonna be making saves in a stack system. Now this is a bit tricky, and if you don't understand my explanation right now, don't worry, because once I'm doing this, once I'm actually coding, I'll actually be explaining things again. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a stack. I'm going to use the data structure called DQ, which is actually pretty similar to a stack. I would use the list structure like this. I'll just call it stack. I would use this actually. This is a list. You can identify this as a list. I would use this, but there's one reason that I'm going to use something else instead. And let me briefly show you that right now. From collections, import DQ. So I'm going to do this basically. So why am I doing DQ instead of list? Well, they're both really similar, but one key change here, which is why I'm using DQ, is that you can specify a max length. And that's what's really awesome, because we don't want to make an unlimited number of undos and redos. Like we don't want that, because if you notice when you're using some software or whatever, there's usually a limit, right, to how many undos and redos that you can do. Now, of course, this is totally up to you. Okay, go ahead and do whatever you want with this, but I'm just showing you how to make a limit. Okay, how to make only 10 undos, 10 save slots. So basically, what's going to happen here is that we have the stack now, and it has 10 slots. So basically, every time I enter something, every time I do something, every time I copy an image, every time I copy paste something, every time I press the keyboard, what I want to do is take all the data inside the text widget and save it into the stack, into one of these save slots. That's basically what I want to do. Okay, so I hope you understood that, because now we're going to begin. So I already have this over here. I'm going to make something else called the stack cursor. Okay, this is basically meant to be pointing to the save slot. The reason that I need this is because of redo actually, and again I'll explain all this and you'll understand this actually as I do it. Okay, so relax. So I'll make this thing called Stackify. Okay, this is just the name I'm using. Okay, I'm just gonna make the empty functions first, so we have a good idea what we're gonna do. Okay, here's the undo function, and here's the redo function. Okay, great. Okay, now let's just quickly duplicate these buttons because I want 2 more buttons. I want 1 button for redo and 1 for undo. So I'm just going to do this first. Okay, and let's rename this one. This one's undo and this one is redo. Okay, this one points to redo and this one points to undo. Okay, so now what? Well, what is the purpose of this function, you may wonder? Well, the purpose of this function is that every time I press a button, it's going to perform some operations. Okay, it's basically going to increment the stack cursor, and it's also going to do something really important, which is saving the data into the stack. So let's take a look at how we're going to do that. So you see here, self.stack.append. Okay, we're basically going to be appending the save onto the end. Okay. And if you think about it, this is actually a really important concept. The reason we're putting this on the end is because we want to mimic a stack-like behavior. Okay, basically the first save point should always be the last save point that we access. Like let's say that you made 10 saves. Okay, you made save 1 to save 10. Now you want to undo. Now tell me this: which save do you want to access first? The last one you made, right? You want to access the last save that you made. That makes sense, of course. Why would you want to access the first one? Because typically you want to access the one that you just want to undo the latest change, right? It's kind of rare that you go all the way back, like you undo 10 times, right? It's more common to undo once or twice. So that's why basically we're going to be doing things in a stack-like approach. And enough talk now. I'm going to actually implement the whole thing, and hopefully you should have understood the entire thing. So basically this is just going to be a copy paste of this actually. I'm going to copy paste this and put it over here. So basically we're going to be retrieving all the text and storing it in the stack. Okay, and what I'm going to do is self.stack cursor. Actually, hold on. If self.stack cursor, and I don't think there was that. Okay, so if it's less than 9, then I want you to increment it. Why less than 9? Because I don't want the stack cursor incrementing itself all the way to like 1 million or something. This is basically going to prevent it from going past 9. So you may wonder, what happens if we make, let's say that we fill up all 10 save slots, okay? What happens when the 11th one comes around? You may wonder. Well, what happens here in DQ is that it just removes the first one that you made. So if you made save 1 to save 10, and then there's a save 11 coming in, what's going to happen is that save 1 will get deleted, and basically you'll be left with save 2 to save 11. Okay, that's how it works. So yeah, that's Stackify for you. Now there's one actually key thing that we need to be doing here. Let's just do a few things here. I'm going to make a new function just for debugging purposes. It's going to be called print stack. Okay, it's going to be doing something rather interesting for us, and just so that you guys can understand this concept better, it's going to go for stack in self.stack print stack. Okay, and just so that you guys have an easier time with this, I'm going to do this for you guys. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is swap out the display function and just put this over here temporarily. Okay, because I don't want to create a whole new button for this function. There's one more thing we need to do before we get to see our stack in action. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to say root.bind and key, and then I'll write over here. Hold on, we got to write this after this, because we're going to use window.stackify over here. stackify. Okay, so what just happened here, you might ask? So over here basically what's going on is that we're binding key to window.stackify. Now what's really going on here? This is something called Tkinter key binding. What's happening here is that we're saying if any key is pressed, okay, if any key is pressed, no matter what it is, okay, what I want you to do is call this function, window.stackify. That's basically what this bind function is doing. That's why it's called key binding, because to a key or any key, you're basically binding a function. And if you want to look at this in more detail, which I really recommend you do because it's a really interesting topic and it's very powerful, I'll include a link in the description below, okay? But basically what I'm doing here is just generically connecting any key to stackify, okay? So let's run this code and let's see what happens. I'm gonna write hello. Okay, hold on, what's going on here? It says two are given, huh? Okay, hold on. Turns out I really did need to use the lambda approach, okay? And again, just watch the video if you want to go into more detail, but basically this isn't necessary, okay? The reason for this is that what's actually happening, that I actually forgot, that the bind function actually passes an extra parameter into the function, okay? It's called the event function, the event parameter, I mean. So you can actually use that to detect what event it actually was, what event was actually triggered, okay? That's only if you really want to go into detail though. You can just write this function as is and it'll work perfectly fine, okay? So let's do that again. Okay, now this is where things actually get interesting. I'll write hello, my name is blah blah blah. I'll write print now. Okay, why isn't that working? Let's see. Okay, it's supposed to be connected. Okay, I figured out the problem. You need to include the parentheses over here. Basically, if you're writing this in lambda, you need to include the parentheses. If you're writing this normally like this, you don't need to include the parentheses, okay? So you know what, let's try this both ways. I'll actually show you both ways right now. Okay, I included the parentheses over here, and watch this. Hello. Okay, I wrote hello. And look at this, look at what's printed out over here. We have the entire thing, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we have our save points. You see H, HE, HEL, HELO, then you see where this is the part where I actually I did backspace, okay, because to delete my mistake, and then I wrote the L, and then I wrote the O. So this is actually all very interesting. You can see here our save points. And if I continue this a bit further, my name, and I'll do print again. So this is where we're actually beginning again. You can see that the 0th save slot is now hello M. It's no longer any of these old ones over here. And the reason for that is because the old save points get deleted, okay? As more save points get created, the old ones get deleted, okay? That's how it works. That's how the DQ works, okay? That's why we're using it. So now we're just one step away from completing undo and redo. I'm going to call clear over here first, okay? And then I'm going to do self.t1.insert. I want you to insert this at the beginning, okay, 0.0. What do I want you guys to insert? I want you to insert the value at self.stackCursor. Okay, so basically, how's this going to work? And then I'm going to go and increment the stack cursor, but there'll be a condition. Actually, am I supposed to increment it or decrement it? Let's see. We're basically going back in save slots, okay? Like from save slot 9 to maybe save slot 8, right? We need to decrement it, and we need to decrement it before we actually insert it, because the latest save slot is basically that which we have on the text widget currently. So we need to decrement it once to move to the previous one, and then we're going to insert the data. Now again, I know this sounds confusing, so how about you just see it in person? I'll write hello over here, then I'm going to do undo. Okay, these are some interesting results. there's one slight problem being caused though, and that's because of the new line corrector. And I can fix that by doing end minus 1c, because there's a new line corrector at the end. There's always a new line corrector at the end. So I'll just do end minus 1c. Okay, that'll remove the new line corrector. And let's just try that theory out. Hello, my name is print. Okay, there you go. There's no more new line, there's no gap between them anymore because the new line corrector is deleted. That's great. So if I were to undo now, what happens? Oh, that's not working. That's strange. So let's see why not. Okay, I can see the problem. I needed to fix this basically. Okay, that was a big mistake. Okay. Of course, you understand why, right? Because over here we're incrementing it, okay, and we can't increment past 9. And over here we're decrementing it, and we're not allowed to decrement past 0. So that's why we're actually doing all this, okay? Now let's try that one more time. Hello, my name is blah, blah, blah. Okay, and undo. Great, it's working. That's great. So let's try redo. I'll just copy paste this over here. It's the same concept. We're just going to change a few signs around, okay? We need to clear it as usual. We need to do the same thing over here actually. So let's just copy this over here and put this over here, okay? And then we need to I think this looks okay. So let's run it and see what happens. Okay, I'll write hello, this is Coder's legacy. Now let me try undoing. Great. Now let me try redo. Great, that also works. See? Now let's try one or two more things. I'll copy this over here, okay? And then I'll press undo. Okay, that shows up. I'll delete that and press redo. Okay. Let's see. Now I copied that, I pasted that over here and press undo. Okay. Redo. Okay. Interesting. Undo, redo. Alright. So, okay. That's interesting. So we can see here that undo and redo are pretty much working pretty well. You know, like this is Coder's legacy. Let's try this again. Okay, undo. Yeah, it's only happening till a limit though, so you can increase that limit if you want to maybe like 20 or 30, maybe more. So redo. Okay, cut, paste, undo, redo. Great. Okay, so we're almost done here. We'll just add some menus in now just to make a little more of a professional kind of look, and then we'll wrap this up, okay? So I'll make a menu over here called self.m, or let's just go ahead and call it menu, okay? And I'll create this menu over here, self.main. Wait, hold on. Yeah, self.main. Okay, and then I need to create some commands. So basically self.menu.add command, and over here I'm going to do label is equal to the first command that I want is print, okay? And I'll connect this to the self.print stack function. Okay? It was print stack like this, right? No, there was underscore. Okay, so I'll connect it like this, and I'll just set this set display back to what it originally was. Okay, and let's make two more commands. Okay, and by the way, again, if you want to learn more about menus, I'll include a link in the description below. Okay, so this menu is here for undo, this one is here for redo. Okay, and this one connects to the undo function, and this one here connects to the redo function. Okay, we just added 3 commands to the menu. Okay, now one last step, we need to configure it like this, I believe. Menu is equal to self.menu. Now hopefully this should work. Okay, look at that, there, you can see, watch this, hello, okay, there you go, see, pretty cool. Okay, look at that. That's interesting. A slight error over here. And why is that? When I was doing redo. Interestingly, we just ran into a little bug over here. So what I've deduced so far that the problem is that if the stack is empty, okay, if there's nothing in the stack, like if I just wrote 2 words, for instance, 2 letters, so there are only 2 safe slots, okay, and if I try accessing the third or something, then there's an error. Let's try something out. I want to print out the size of the stack, okay, whenever the redo function is called. I think that this is the function required, hopefully. So I'll press redo. Okay, what is that function? I need to look it up. Hold on. Wait, what am I doing? Why don't I just use len? Yeah, of course, sorry. So I'll print out the length of the stack. Okay, so let's press this. Okay, it's 0. Now the problem is over here, what happens is that the stack gets incremented to 1, the self.stack cursor, and it tries to access that first index, which doesn't exist. So that's what's causing an error. So I think a little error handling trick that we could do is that if if len self.stack is less than the self.stack cursor, or more like if it's not. So for that, we'll just flip this around. So basically what I'm saying here, let me try to review this. If the length of the stack is less than the stack cursor, so say that there's 3 values in the stack. There's 3 safe points in the stack, and the stack cursor is pointing at 4. So then do this. That doesn't sound right. After some trial and error, I seem to have come up with a solution. So basically, if the length of the stack, okay, is greater than the stack cursor, plus 1, then only can it go ahead and do all this. So basically, if this will basically prevent the error with the redo over here. Watch. See, if I press redo now, it's no longer causing an error. Okay, and with undo, I can fix this by saying if self.stack cursor is equal to 0, not is equal to 0, and then do this. Because the problem is if we try to undo right in the start. There's a slight problem over there. So I think this should have fixed it. Okay. Yeah, looks good. Yep, it's all good. It's all good now. So with this, we're actually done. Now I know this was pretty long, and even though I said that it would be done a lot earlier, I wasn't. That's because I actually, decided to take you through the entire explanation. So if you actually enjoyed the video, then let me know down in the comment section below. Okay, so let me know if this was good and whether you want to see things similar to this. Either way, so subscribe, leave a like, so that you stay updated with future content, because there is more coming out. Okay, be sure to check out the next project as well, which is the syntax highlighter. That's something really cool that I really wanted to share, so that's why I made it. So yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in a later video.